I'll never forget that. I did a 0-0 prediction, and it was 0-0 all the way up until like 87 minutes, and it finished 3-1. I was like, how did 4 goals go in the matter of 6
Yeah.
minutes? Anyway, it clearly all kicked off in the past 5 minutes of the game, but. So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue, and we're here today for another score prediction video. Now, I do apologise, we haven't actually released one of these for a week or two, just because of the way the calendars fell, international breaks, all these different things. So we get round to these when and where we can, because they are just a bit of fun. You know, me and Dad just like to keep a running tally. We don't discuss before we get in the room, and we're just going to discuss our thoughts and outcomes for the game week 15 of the League One campaign. So, Dad, I'm going to hand over to you first for an overview. I know you're dying to have your moment of fame, and then we'll get into the first game, which is Burton Albion versus Shrewsbury. But first, you want to give us an overview of where we are?
Yeah, so as Matt says, we haven't done one for a while, but we have still been doing the score predictions without recording it. So we've been carrying on doing it, and and Matt says it's just a bit of fun. It's not a bit of fun; it's serious stuff. Because I had a fantastic week last week. I actually predicted the last time we had in game week 14. I predicted 4 exact scores, and of course it's 3 points for an exact score. So the current running totals is that you've got 80 points. I've got 91.
11-point lead now.
11, and that's only because I had a massive week in that week, and I don't think that'll ever be repeated, but you never know.
Yeah.
So that's where we stand at the moment. So
Somehow cheated. I don't know how you did it yet, but I'm going to figure it out.
Well, you know we don't cheat because we always send the scores before the games actually start, so you knew
Yeah.
exactly. So you can't really say that.
Maybe you hypnotised me. But yeah, go on then, Dad. So if that brings us on to our first game of the week, and that's Burton Albion at home to Shrewsbury. What are your thoughts for that game?
Well, this is two teams bottom of the league. Burton haven't won a game all season so far. They've lost 7 in a row and are really struggling. They're at home to Shrewsbury, who are just one place above them. They are not doing much better, really. They've lost 7 of the last 10, drawn 2 and won 1. So it's 2 teams completely out of form. But I think in this game, Burton at some point have to win a game, and I think this will be it. So I've gone for Burton 2, Shrewsbury 1.
Okay, 2-1 to Burton. You've tipped them, as you say, to get their first win of the
I think
season.
so, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I think because of how big this game is, personally, I can't see past a draw. This is such a big game for both teams. And it's kind of like it's a 6-pointer, that, isn't it, when you're second bottom and bottom.
Yeah.
And, Shrewsbury's away form has been inconsistent. They struggle to score goals sometimes. And I've gone for Burton Albion 1, Shrewsbury 1.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, Matt, both teams need to win this game because Burton have got 4 points. They're already 7 points adrift of the fifth and bottom, which is Leyton Orient, and Shrewsbury have only got 4 points more. So it's a massive game, that is.
Yeah.
You've gone for 1-1, I've gone for 2-1. Okay. Next one, Matt, we've got what look on paper looks like a fascinating game: Wrexham versus Mansfield.
So for me, Dad, this is my game of the weekend. I think this is going to be a belter. 2 teams in the playoffs. Wrexham have a really good home record this season. Mansfield, as we know, we were there in our last competitive league game. Very well set up team. Clough has them playing to their strengths. Very, very good, very strong team. And I think these teams are very similar in their styles of play and the way they play. And I couldn't really separate them, if I'm honest. I'm purely picking this off the back of the home advantage because Wrexham have been very strong at home this season. They did just get a 0-0 draw against Huddersfield at home in their last game there. But I'm going to go for a narrow Wrexham 2, Mansfield 1.
Oh, you gone for a home win?
I've gone for a home win, yeah.
Yeah, 2 good teams. We've seen them both, haven't we? We saw Wrexham a little bit earlier in the season at home, who we beat. And like as you mentioned, we just played Mansfield as well. And they are. I think this is going to be a competitive game because both teams are probably going to end up going at each other, which is why I think there'll be a lot of goals. Wrexham's currently sit third, having won 2 and drawn 2 of the last 4, and Mansfield have won 2, lost 1 and drawn 1. So they're both teams in form. Wrexham have got home advantage. I was tempted to go for a home win. I think this is going to be a draw. I'm going to go for 3-3.
Wow.
Yeah, I've gone for a 3-3 draw.
That is a belter.
I think because I just think they're both teams that will both just go for it.
Yeah. Okay. I look forward to seeing the highlights of that if it ends up as a 3-3.
Yeah.
So that brings on to our next game, Dad, and that's our Birmingham City at home to Northampton. What are your thoughts for that?
Sold out again. We've sold out our stadium again for the visit of Northampton. I believe they sold their allocation as well, so it's going to be a good atmosphere. We're at home, so obviously we've seen teams come to us with no fear, and I don't think any team will come to St.Andrews with no. To them, it's a big game. It's a cup final. It's in front of a massive crowd. But I think home advantage. We think we'll win this, but I don't think it's going to be a walkover by any means. So I've gone for Birmingham City 2, Northampton 1.
You think Northampton will score?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Right. Well, I think the theme with Blues this season, Dad, isn't it? We're relatively confident we're going to win games, but we're not confident we're going to keep clean sheets. That's been the theme of Birmingham this season.
Yeah.
Can't really add much to what you've said, Dad. I think home advantage will see us through here. You know, Northampton have had a disappointing season, I would say, and you know we did tip them to be down in the bottom half of the table. You know, just sort of in and around the relegation zone. They have had a couple of surprise good results. They beat Huddersfield on their home turf, and you know they're not a pushover team.
No,
but I still think we're going to have too much quality for Northampton. I think we're going to see Chris Davis' style of football a lot of probing. I think Northampton are going to sit back, but I do think we're going to have too much quality. We will break them down, and I've gone for Birmingham City 2, Northampton 0.
You got 2-0.
I have, yeah.
So the next fixture, Matt, is Bristol Rovers at home to Lincoln City. What's your thoughts on that one?
Another good game, I think, this one. And, you know, we were at Lincoln only a couple of weeks back, Dad. And, you know, again, a team that are well set up.
Yeah.
They play to their strengths very well. They definitely play on the back foot, having the least amount of possession this season. Bristol Rovers at home, I think this is going to be a difficult game. But when you've got players like Powdy O'Connor for Lincoln who have got that organisation, that commanding, that captaincy, all these different things. I think it's going to be a very close game, but I have gone for a Lincoln win. I've gone Bristol Rovers 0, Lincoln City 1.
Okay, 0-1. Okay, I have to type into my spreadsheet, otherwise I'll forget.
Yeah.
Okay, I've gone a game also with not many goals in this. I think that Bristol Rovers have picked up slightly. You know, in the last 4 games they've won 2. Sorry, in the last 5 games they've won 3 and lost 2. So they have got a little bit of form, although they have lost 2 of the last 3. So it's sort of in and out of form, really. Lincoln are right up in 5th place in the table. They're doing really, really well, but only because of that Bristol Rovers are at home. I've gone for a stalemate here. I've got 0-0.
0-0?
Yeah.
Nice, okay. Don't really see many 0-0s at the League One level, do we? There are usually a lot of goals.
And they're difficult to predict, aren't they? But, you know, we will obviously see 0-0s, but you have to sort of look at teams. But so I've predicted 0-0 before, and it's been like loads of gols in the game.
I'll never forget that. I did a 0-0 prediction, and it was 0-0 all the way up until like 87 minutes, and it finished 3-1. I was like, how did 4 goals go in the matter of 6 minutes? Anyway, it clearly all kicked off in the past 5 minutes of the game. But yeah, interesting. Okay, Dad, so that brings us on to Crawley Town at home to Huddersfield Town. What are your thoughts for that?
Well, Crawley, again, have had a strange season. Started off winning their first 2 games in the season, and you know everyone thought that they were going to be right down the bottom. Then they had a really, really poor run, and now they find themselves 22nd. However, not the last game, but the game before, they actually beat Lincoln 3-0 at home. So they're a strange team, Crawley, but they're playing Huddersfield. Now, Huddersfield are going to be wounded. They got knocked out the FA Cup by Tamworth. And I can't see anything here past the Huddersfield. Huddersfield are going to be well hungry to beat this. I've gone for Crawley 1, Huddersfield 4.
Wow, a big margin as well. So I've gone similar, but I've gone a little less aggressive on the scoreline, and I've gone for Crawley Town 1, Huddersfield Town 2. So I agree with you, Dad. I can only see a Huddersfield win here. I think they're going to have a bit too much quality, but you know, don't knock Crawley. You know, they do pop up with these surprise results from time to time, don't they? But,
and they are better at home. I think all their wins haven't been at home. I think they beat Cambridge away, didn't they? Yeah. But I think for this game, because I think on the back of Huddersfield's defeat in the FA Cup, I think they're going to have a point to prove, and I think they're going to be like a wounded animal.
I think Huddersfield as well are only going to get better as the season goes on, because I feel like they've had a bit of an adaptation period to League One at the start, and I think they're going to get stronger.
Well, they currently sit 7th, and they've won 3 and drawn 1 of the last 4. So they had that blip, didn't they, when they went through that run of games where they lost a load. But they're on the return. They're going to be up there. They're going to be there or thereabouts. But I've gone 4-1. You've gone 2-1. Yeah. Okay, so that brings us on to Exeter at home to Charlton.
So this is a battle of the mid-table, isn't it? This is 11th versus 12th. Yeah. So really is the mid-table battle. Exeter having a good season so far. I see Exeter now as a very established League One team. You know, they're very solid at this level. And Charlton are really unpredictable, especially on the road. I think they look decent against Blues, Dad. They definitely outstrengthened us, physical-wise and arguably stamina-wise for the first time this season. So they've got it in the bag, Charlton. You know, as much as we all like to dislike Nathan Jones, he is a decent manager. He does set them up well. But I can't see past a draw here. So I've gone for Exeter 2, Charlton 2.
2-2. Yep. Okay. Well, Charlton have actually drawn their last 3 games, and included within that was a home draw against Wrexham when we played Mansfield, and they scored in the last minute, didn't they? To get that draw. The way you described the way they played us, I would use the word suffocated us. Yeah. They smothered us so that we couldn't play. So they have got it in them. They are away. I've also gone for a draw. I've gone for 1-1.
1-1. Very similar.
Yeah.
Okay, and Dad, so that brings us on to Leyton Orient at home to Blackpool. Should be a good game.
Well, Orient are surprised me. We played them very early in the season. And they didn't start the season very well, did they? They currently sit 20th, so they're just above that. So they're just above the relegation line. They've lost 4 of the last 5, and at home to a Blackpool team that are really struggling at the moment. When
Yeah.
Steve Bruce came in, they had the 4 wins in a row, but since that, and we know the troubles that Steve Bruce has had, and our sympathies go out to him and his family.
Course, yeah.
But I believe he's back now. He was back for the FA Cup game. But since their 4 wins in a row when he took over, they've drawn, lost, drawn. So they've at the last 5 games they've lost 3 and drawn 2. But I think they'll turn it around in this game. Leyton Orient at home, I know pushover, but I've gone for Leyton Orient 1, Blackpool 2.
Away win.
Yeah.
Okay, I've gone for the complete opposite. Not the complete opposite, but I've gone for a Leyton Orient win. I rate Orient. I think they're in a. I don't like the term false position because you could arguably say you're in the position you exactly deserve to be a lot of the time. But I think they do play better football than what arguably some of the results have been coming out as. And especially at the start of the season, they had a start of the season passage of fire, didn't they? They played all the big teams really, but I rate them. I think they do play good football. They got a good manager, so I've gone for Leyton Orient 3, Blackpool 1.
Okay, that's interesting. So you've gone for a win.
I have.
You've gone for a win to Leyton Orient. I've gone win for Blackpool, so I put you in on a draw. Okay. Next, Matt, we have Peterborough at home to Cambridge.
So if there's any fixture of the list, Dad, which screams goal fest, this has to be it, doesn't it? Peterborough versus Cambridge. They both are capable of scoring a lot of goals, but they're also both capable of leaking a lot of goals as well. Peterborough have the home advantage here, so I've let that be a big factor in my decision. And Cambridge are struggling, and I've gone for Peterborough 4, Cambridge 2.
Wow. Well, you say there's going to be goals. I think there's going to be goals in this as well. Peterborough's form is inconsistent, and I think that's reflected in their league position. They're 12th, I think, in mid-table.
Yes, something like that,
13th in mid-table. But Cambridge, you say they're struggling. They are struggling, but they've won the last 3 in the league. So something's happening there where they're turning their form around. They're now in 21st, so they're just below that relegation line, just 1 point below Leyton Orient. And, you looked at a few weeks ago at them, and they were with Burton. I think they had 1. In fact, they were below Burton. They only had 1 point, but they've won 3 in a row. However, I think Peterborough at home will be too strong for them. Yeah. So you've gone 4-2. I've gone 3-2. I've gone Peterborough 3, Cambridge 2.
Close margin there.
Yeah.
Okay, Daz, that brings us on to our next game. That's Stevenage at home to Reading.
Well, Reading have done exceptionally well. Yeah. To be honest with you, I think we've been saying this because we saw them at the start of the season. This is the very first game we had in the league when they came to St.Andrews and drew 1-1. We had a late goal, didn't we? A late penalty from Alfie May to equalise. And they've done ever so well. And with all the troubles that are going on there as well, they've got to be so proud, their fans, of where Reading are in the league. They're 9th at the moment. They've lost their last game, but they won the 3 previous games for that. As far as Stevenage goes, Stevenage are 15th, but they've had some good wins during the season so far. But they have lost the last 3. So I've gone for an away win here. I've gone for Stevenage 0, Reading 1.
I've gone for an away win as well, but I've gone for a slightly higher scoring game, Dad, because I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be end-to-end. I think I did a bit of research. Reading actually have a better head-to-head record against Stevenage.
Okay.
So, again, I don't know how much that plays into what the bookmakers do in terms of their odds, but I do think Reading will win this as well. But I've gone for Stevenage 2, Reading 3.
Oh, that's a good result.
Yeah. Reading have impressed me, Dad. I think that they look good against us on the first game at St.Andrews, and ever since I've seen them, they look like a decently compact team. I think because of the transfer embargo and all these things that are going on with the club, they have to stick with the 11 they have, don't they? And that often actually isn't a bad thing because you get used to the players. They have that real connectivity and that real closeness, that bond. And, I think Reading are a decent side.
Yeah, I do as well. I think the only thing with Reading is, as the season draws on, particularly as we get into the winter, it's suspensions and injuries because they haven't got a huge depth of squad.
Yeah.
But they, if they can keep, the players that they've got with the depth of, that they have got, then make the most of them, they could push for the playoffs.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Yeah.
So next, Matt, we have Stockport versus Bolton.
So I think this is a really evenly matched game. Bolton are in 6th, Stockport are in 10th. But again, with Stockport being at home with that home advantage, I think this is going to be a really close game. I found it really hard to split the teams. Both teams, again, are prone to goals. I've gone for Stockport 2, Bolton 2. Draw.
2-2. And that's the first one we've got the same. I've gone for 2-2 as well. When you look at Bolton's form as well, they've really picked up. In the last 8 games, they've won 5, drawn 1, and lost 1. Having started quite sluggish, they had a run of games they lost. So they're in 6th place now. So they're actually turning the corner. And Stockport started the season well as well, didn't they? Yeah,
they did.
They've gone off the boil a little bit. So in the last 10 games, they've only won 2. They've won 2. How many have they drawn? 2, 4, drawn 5. So they've slightly gone off the boil, but again, because of home advantage, that's why I went for 2-2 as well. I think that is going to be a close game. So we both gone. That's the first one today. First match. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, Daz. That brings us on to our second last game of the fixture list, and that's Wigan at home to Wycombe.
Yeah, Wycombe are on an amazing run at the moment, aren't they? They in the last 10 games, they're in second place in the league, just behind our Birmingham City. They've won 8 and drawn 2.
3 points behind us.
3 points behind, having played the same amount of games. And when we played them, you'd never have expected that, because I think we obviously, even though it was a close scoreline, it didn't really reflect the dominance that we had. But fair play to them.
Yeah, 100%.
And fair play to the way that that they've been set up, because they're doing so well. They are away though to a Wigan side who I was impressed with at St.Andrews. Took a late goal from Scott Wright at St.Andrews for us to actually beat them. We beat them 2-1. But on the basis of the current form of Wycombe, I've gone for Wigan 1, Wycombe 2.
Nice. I've gone for an exact reverse of that. So I've gone for Wigan 2, Wycombe 1.
So
I've just got a feeling that the Wycombe run is going to end this weekend. Wigan are massively underrated, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, they do leak some really sloppy goals at the back.
Yeah.
And at times you are like, what am I watching? But overall, I've been pretty impressed with watching certain games that I've seen Wigan in. So, yeah, I don't know. I just got a feeling Wigan being at home, I think they haven't really got firing this season yet. They're going to see Wigan second in the league. Not that it's a free pass, but they're going to see it as a difficult game. I think that in some ways plays into Wigan's hands, and I've gone for Wigan 2, Wycombe 1.
Okay, so it's the reverse of me then as well. And then, Matt, the final game of this game week is Barnsley at home to Rotherham.
So there's no doubt that Barnsley are going into this the stronger team. They're unbeaten in their last 5 games. And similar to what you said about Wycombe, Dad, when we went there, when we went to Rotherham, we were very unimpressed, weren't we? You'd never think we were the same 2 teams that got relegated. And I know that might be unfair now because we've spent, a decent amount of money in the transfer window, but that was day and night, weren't it? That really was.
Yeah.
Not 2 teams that got relegated from the same division. We were worlds apart. So, especially Barnsley being at home, I'm still going for a close game. I'm not completely writing Rotherham off here, by the way. I think they'll put up a good fight and it'll be a good game, but I still think Barnsley will have too much. Barnsley 2, Rotherham 1.
2-1?
2-1.
Okay, yeah. Barnsley, again, they're currently 8th in the league. Out of the last 10 games, they've won 4, drawn 3. So they're okay in terms of their form, but they can be slightly inconsistent. They've got a good away record. The only thing is, this might surprise you. Barnsley at home have only won 1, drawn 4, and lost 1. So they're not getting many points home, but their away record, I think it might be the best in the league.
Wow.
They've won 5 away and lost 2, so most of their points have come away. So out of their total of 22 points, 15 have come away from home. So that's why I think that Rotherham as well. I mean, they're so inconsistent; it's unbelievable. They will be having a very disappointing season for them, because traditionally, when they've come down to League One, they've always been very strong. This season, they're not, and that's the reality of it. They're right down in 14th in the league, and you will say they're playing a Barnsley team that are, challenging for the playoffs. But again, because of Barnsley's home record, I've gone for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
I've gone 1-1. You've gone 2-1, so you've gone 2-1. I've gone 1-1, and I was really surprised. I mean, when you research this, I was really surprised when I looked at Barnsley's home record, and I think Barnsley fans would probably agree they've got to improve at home.
Yeah.
Only taking 7 points from their 6 games at home is just not good, is it?
Yeah, I mean, that's everything, Dad. Are you happy? Anything else to add? Anything further? Or
No, not really. And as we always say, these are predictions. We are really trying to base our best guess really on what these fixtures will be. I'm just always interested to see how they come out. Hopefully, they come out with last time where I'll get them all right again. But,
that wasn't real. 4 score predictions in 1 week.
Yeah, and you know what as well, Matt? 2 of those 4 that I got right, they were literally I think the Charlton equaliser.
Yeah, last minute.
It was 2-1 to Wrexham, and that I predicted 2-2, didn't I? So
Yeah.
that when that goal was in, I was, "Whee!" And there's another one as well where there's a really late goal. I can't remember which game it was, and so it makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Every second makes a massive difference.
Because usually it's the reverse, isn't it? You've got the fixture right, and then a last-minute goal ends up scuppering it.
Yeah.
So to get it where it actually goes in your favour is quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah, but you know, you've got an 11-point deficit. But you know what? The way these are, you could easily reverse that and turn that around. So it's.
Oh, you're professional now.
No, I've just been giving a bit of sympathy, really. I'm trying to make it.
You're getting embarrassing, is it? Yeah, fair enough. But as always, Birmingham City supporters, we'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on some of the score predictions we gave? Obviously, we discussed the Birmingham game in there as well. What are your thoughts for Birmingham versus Northampton? And maybe you're a fan of another club and you've stumbled across this channel, you've stumbled across this video, and you've saw your team and our score prediction pop up. What are your thoughts as well? We welcome everyone and all comments on this channel. And if you like this video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, we have an Instagram page, and we're also on Spotify now. So if you prefer to listen to your podcast over there, we are on that platform as well. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and press that bell as well so you always get notified when we do post. We do tend to post at very consistent and regular times. But me and myself and Dad will see you on the next video all about Birmingham City.